Okay, so our platforms are now covered. I can just pop those to the side and we will do our heels. Now these heels do have this kind of curve down the back, which I think is really stylish. I really like this heel a lot. So I haven't actually covered one of these before, but I'm assuming there's going to be a bit more stretching than usual. So let's get the leather out and see how we go. Okay, so I'm gonna cover this in the same way that I usually cover my heels, which is that I'm gonna sort of start in the center and then I'll sort of place that flat, and I might even draw a line there just to help me line it up later. I wanna give myself about 5 mil excess at the bottom, so I'm just rolling that from side to side, and then I'm gonna lay it flat and just bring it all the way to that center groove. And then in here, I'll be able to see the center groove from the top as well, and I can do a little mark there. All right, so once you've roughly traced around that, we can cut it out. Just remember that I've given myself about 5 millimeters or 1/4 inch, roughly, of excess around the whole top and the whole bottom. And without that excess, we won't be able to cover the heel properly, so don't forget. Okay, and even though I've got my exact mark for the groove, I've actually left myself a little bit of excess at the end there as well, just in case. So I'm going to start as always by gluing up the heel first, and then we'll coat the leather and let it dry. Okay, so I covered this one while I was waiting for the other one to dry, and it looks amazing. So let's get started on the other one. And I'm actually going to start right at the back. And there is a reason for that. It's because I want to sort of be able to stretch the leather upwards. So my technique for when I did the other one was that I got the sort of spine down, which is that bit there, and then on the sides I sort of pulled it up. Let's see how this goes. Wrap that side, and then I just want to pull it sort of up like that. So having a good amount of stretch is definitely handy with these heels. And then we'll do the exact same thing on the other side. Okay, awesome. So once that whole back section is covered nicely and stretched into place, we'll get the inside done. I usually just start on one side and pull it so that it's just sort of overlapping that little groove that we have. And then using my craft knife, I'll just cut it directly on the groove. Sometimes I run my nail into the groove first, just so that I've got a little bit of a line to follow. And then with the other side, I'm simply going to push it over so that it meets the original one. And then I'm just gonna cut the excess into the groove of that piece as well. So again, I kind of use my nail to make a bit of a mark, and then taking the knife and just cutting right into the groove. And then take away the excess, and they should be meeting up pretty perfectly in the middle. Okay, at this point I can cut away all of my excess from the bottom. I just like to go completely flush with the base so that I can put my heel tip in. But some people like to actually fold the edges of the heel over the base as well. And maybe that's because you're using a fabric or a material that frays. And if that's the case, you can just fold it right over the bottom, just making sure that you keep those little holes free of any material, because you need to be able to get your heel tip in there. But if you're using a leather, you can just cut it completely flush, and then our heel tip just gets placed on there like that. And then let's do the top section here. I've got quite a lot of excess there, and I don't need that much. I just need enough to fold over the edge. So I'm just going to trim some of that off before I start, because sometimes when you've got too much leather, it just kind of gets in the way and makes it harder than it needs to be. So I'm just folding that over the edge like so, and I will get quite a few little pleats around the top, but that is completely normal. And then I'll just take my craft knife and sort of cut away these bigger pleats that we have on the edges. And then you can just sort of take away any of the extra bulk that you have around the top as well. Okay, so once you have done that, we now have our covered heels, which are looking really, really good. And we've got our covered platforms, which are also looking good. And I really love at this stage that you can sort of start to see how they're gonna look as shoes. And I'm really excited about this pair because they just look cool. So I'm going to dive into the next video, which is going to be to cut our insole boards. So I will see you in the next one to do just that.